Today, what we learned is complete core concepts, right? How container will create objects, how we can do dependency injection, right? And how to create connection codes. So the basic things, how if I pick Spring Framework for my application development, I learned very basics of Spring, right? How to create Spring Bean classes, how to create objects to them. Now, if I want to extend it for my application development, if I want to extend my knowledge for application development, okay, are there any specific features given for application development? Means yes, there are some other modules available in Spring to implement your application from UI to DOM layer. From UI to DOM layer, we have specific modules to implement that particular parts of the application. DAO repository. Now we will see here how to implement this DAO layer. We will see how to implement this DAO layer using Spring module called Spring JDBC. One Spring JDBC module given to deal with the database. Okay. So if your application having SQL need, JDBC is only the recommended for your application because I wanted to write lot of SQL code here. I have lot of real SQL procedures, functions, lot of procedures, functions. I'm dealing via my DMO along with lot of CRUD operations. So for that particular requirement, if you want to choose JDBC here, instead of JDBC, it's good to go with Spring JDBC. It's good to go with Spring JDBC. It will make your code very simple. If you go with Spring JDBC rather than JDBC, right? It will make your code simple here. You can use plain JDBC, but the problem is you have to write a lot of lines of code and the resource cleanup operations also you need to take care. Means you should open connection and then you should create statement, then you should execute your statement, then close connection, then close statement, right? Lot of code we used to write here along with your try catch blocks. We open a try catch block, and we handle exceptions and all. And there is no way directly you can, uh, you know, directly we should not create connections here. We should get it from data source. So data source dot get connection you should use to get the connections here. So that connection pool connections you can able to utilize instead of plain connections. So this all code you need to take care if you go with JDBC. Instead of JDBC, if I go with the Spring JDBC, Spring JDBC is one wrapper on top of your JDBC only. So it is internally implemented all this logic for you. Internally it is implemented all this logic for you and given some methods to you to give your query inputs. Just query and data input is required for your JDBC. So all remaining open connection, close connection, create statement, executing queries, it will handle them. So you just need to give your query input along with the data. The remaining it will take care. Resource cleanups and all. Just you need to give your query and data. The remaining open connections, right? Creating statement or prepare statement. All this will be taken care by your Spring JDBC module. So in Spring JDBC, they have given two template classes to deal with database operations. Okay, so two template classes given. One is JDBC template class and named parameter JDBC template class. These two are the important classes that we use in Spring JDBC module. So JDBC template, in JDBC template, just you need to, you know, use your SQL queries plus data also you need to combine when you want to, pass data like JDBC style we use here. Whereas in named parameter JDBC template, we use named parameters. In SQL, we give named parameters wherever you want to pass inputs, right? Either in insert or select. And using that named parameters, you can set the values later, like in prepared statement. In prepared statement, we write query, then later we set the parameters, right? This is similar to that. This is similar to that. Using this named parameters, you can pass data later after, query preparation. But whereas in JDBC template, we combine data with SQL and we execute it. Apart from this single line code execution, nothing to write. So if somebody asks you what is the benefit if you go with GDBC template means, the first benefit is resource open or close operations need not to worry. Okay, resources, it will ensure that JDBC template or named JDBC template, it will ensure that properly it will open your resources and it will close your resources. So in interviews, I got a question, in 2015 somewhere. They asked me how you will take it if you are a lead to your team or if you are a architect or if you are a senior guy. Okay, how you will ensure that properly your team doing resource cleanup operations. I said I can't watch into their code always. We can review and we can watch. Apart from that, if I have designed some template codes, if I design some template codes, okay, if I design some wrapper above the JDBC layer, if I create a wrapper above the JDBC layer, okay, like JDBC template, it will take care of all the resource open and close operations so that I can ensure that my developers need not to worry about open and close operations, connection open, connection close operations. Here in this JDBC template place named parameter case, right? As a developer, you need not to worry about resource cleanups or resource open operations. As these template methods are having that open close operations code, they will ensure that obviously they will execute that logic. So when you use named parameter template or JDBC template for doing DML operations here, they give an update method. They have given one update method. So into this update method, just you need to give your query and data, and internally what this update method will do. This JDBC update method internally, it is having that logic, open connections, close connections. But from where it will open connection and from where it will close connection means, here this JDBC template and named parameter JDBC template is having dependency of data source. They will not work without a data source. So data source is very important here. So you need to have a connection pool object. You need to have a connection pool object here. First, you need to create a connection pool object, data source. And this data source object you need to inject into JDBC template or named parameter JDBC template. You have to inject it using dependency injection. You have to inject this data source object into JDBC template or named parameter JDBC template. So what this JDBC template or named parameter template methods will do, from this data source, they will get connection from data source internally. They have the logic similar to this get connection, and once after they get connection, they use your SQL and data. whatever SQL and data you give, right? Using that, they will create statement or prepare statements. So here statement they will create, then they will execute your statements, finally close all the statements. Open connections, creation of statement, execution of your queries, and finally you can close. All these operations are wrapped under these methods. So in a single line, you can execute your code without bothering about opening connections, closing connections and all. That's how these templates are designed. So that you can ensure that connection leakage is not happening. When you use JDBC template or named JDBC template rather than JDBC, right, you need not to worry about resource cleanups. These templates will ensure your connections are properly closing and your resources are properly releasing. Okay, so let us see example. Let us see example. For DAO, right, if I want to use JDBC template, let's say if it is annotated with repository annotation, and if you have CRUD operation methods here, I have CRUD operation methods here, save, update, delete. Okay, so in this repository, to handle save method or update or delete or select methods, any kind of select method, select or select all methods, I need a JDBC template here. So what you need to do, you need to auto-wire it. Auto-wire JDBC template. You can auto-wire JDBC template and you can, yeah, yeah, I'm sure. So JDBC template you can use here to execute your save operation, update operations. We use update method of JDBC template for save, update and delete. Okay. For DML operations we use JDBC template dot update. And if you have any TRL operations we use JDBC template dot query for methods. Query for methods we have query for object, query for list, query for set. There are multiple methods we have query for int based on the result that you are expecting. Let's say if you are expecting the count of records, then you can put query for int. If you are expecting one object, you can use query for object. If you are expecting list of objects, you can use query for list. So there are multiple query for methods given, particularly for select operations. Okay. Now from where this JDBC template will be automated here, this is the integration bean. Yesterday we saw one integration bean like REST template and data source. All the integration objects need to be created inside at the rate bean, and that at the rate bean should be inside your configuration class. So here I will be creating one configuration class. Under this configuration class, I need to initialize JDBC template using at the rate bean method. At the rate bean public JDBC template create template. So here you need to create your JDBC template. So JDBC template object you can create equal to new JDBC template, and this JDBC template is having one dependency, JDBC template dot set data source. You need to set a data source object here. You need to set one data source object here, connection pool object. So to create a JDBC template, you can create it, but one data source object is mandatory here. Compulsory you should pass data source object. So as data source object is required here, you can create either a separate method or else you can create data source here. Yes, you want to mute if you are not on. So create a data source here or else you can create a separate method to create your connection pool object data source. You can create a separate method, create ds, create data source. So here you can create your connection pool object. You know what to do here. right? Basic data source, Apache basic data source, BDS equal to new BDS, and you can set all the parameters of connection code. Finally, you can return it BDS. So now I want to use this BDS inside this data source. So what you can do, you can call your create DS method. Call create DS method. You know, right? Once after bean creation, though intentionally if you call this method also, nothing will happen. Just object it will return whatever object it is holding. Okay. So the same data source will be passed here. Though intentionally if you call this method also, no worries. But you should ensure this bean should be there in configuration class, or else the entire behavior will change. Okay. So during after this configuration object created, this bean will execute, this bean will execute, and this bean I am passing here. What is this bean? Data source, where I am setting it inside JDBC template. Okay, JDBC template also will be registered into IOC container. So once JDBC template is registered, will it allow to auto write? Yes, it will be auto write here. Once it is auto write, you can execute your methods. You are good to execute your save, update, delete, or any select methods. Okay, so the first step, implement configuration class. Step 1, implement configuration class. Then step 2, implement repository class. Under this configuration class, you need to create a data source. Then you can create JDBC template. Then you can auto wire it and you can focus on your methods. Correct. Correct. Object here. Yes. This is coming from Spring jars only. Okay, so they given this class and they don't create this object directly. Okay, it's your wish if you want to create, or else what happened, lot of Spring jars we have, Spring beans, jar file we have, like that we have like 20 30 jar files we have from Spring itself. So if they have configured all their classes with these annotations, unnecessarily all that objects will be created for your application, though you need them or not. So what they given, simple as a simple classes they leave, or they given that classes as part of their jar files. Just you need to create their objects and utilize. Okay, but in Spring Boot you will see by default many objects it will create. Okay, good question. This question you can remember and recall it in Spring Boot. In Spring Boot, lot of objects it will create along with your objects. Okay, yeah, no, not possible because JDBC template methods it definitely need. It will not throw any error. Okay, you remember it will not say this is setter method. You guys see, right? Setter method, while passing data through setter methods, we learned that setter method will not force us to pass any values. Okay, so it's your duty to pass that data here. Compulsory you need to set this data source here, or else what you will realize, while testing your save method it will say null pointer exception, data source dot get connection will give what, no connection. So that your update method, while dealing with the save or update delete methods, your JDBC template update method will throw null pointer exception. We will see that practically what it will do. Yes, you need to pass as a developer. You should ensure Spring will not throw you any compile time issues or it will say mandatorily pass this value. Nothing it will say to you. You need to pass. Compulsory you should do this. Okay. Rather than setter dependency injection, if they have created JDBC template with parameterized constructor, you must be realizing it here. While creating JDBC template object, it may say there is no default constructor, you need to pass data source. Then you must be realized, okay, I need to pass data source. But in JDBC template class, they didn't do that. Just via setter dependency injection only you have to pass value. Yes, of course. No, no. So I told you the case, right? The example is for our application, we are doing PLSQL migration. Okay, currently. So for this PLSQL migration, the client initially asked to use JDBC template. He don't know much about the data JPA or WAR. Okay, so he know up to JDBC concepts. Then he is thinking that okay, I'll do it in JDBC template. Then I told him, don't use JDBC concept, use Warren so that you need not to worry about exception handlings or there are a lot of features, right? Primary key generators or doing CRUD operations. You even need not to write any SQL code. Here at least you are using SQL queries. I suggested him go with the Warren concept, then he moved to Warren. Otherwise people can use JDBC template. But in Warren it is very difficult to deal. Yeah. Yeah, Spring Data JPA, it's a warrant. Spring Data JPA. We are using Spring Data JPA. Yes, of course. Spring ORM is a way there we manually configure everything. In Spring Data JPA, the similar setup they have already done. That is what I was saying. In Spring Boot, you will see a lot of internal objects it creates. What are all that objects? The same ORM structure, whatever you are doing manually, it will do it automatically there. But the concept is same. They are using Spring Data JPA also using JPA only, right? And again JPA is having Hibernate implementations only. So end of the day, they are using Hibernate. Yeah, yeah. ORM we will see, Spring Data JPA we will see. Nothing going to, you know, leave here. Hmm. 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 They are not random actually. See, till now we learned how to fit nut and bolts, the small things that we learned till now. Now we are applying it on a car. I am starting from DAO layer. We will cover DAO layer so that you will get confidence on implementing this part, this layer. Then we will shift to service layer. Here I'll show you AOP, that stuff. Okay, how we will wrap transactions or on top of service, how we will apply AOP. Then we go to the controller, there we will see MVC, so that end to end will be covered. Yeah, correct. You can, it depends, right? If lot of customizations are there, you can go with the Spring War. Spring ORM easy in terms of configurations. In data JPA on the fly it will generate all the classes. So if you want to do customizations at the rate queries, you need to use a different set of methods you need to write. Okay, that is very advanced one, Spring Data JPA. What is your question? We have Spring ORM also. Spring ORM is different, okay, and Spring Data JPA is different. No, no, no. Basically, separate ORM module we have. In the Spring ORM, they give an integration support to Hibernate. Spring will integrate with Hibernate, simple Hibernate if you have. Then you can have your session factory and the session operations. Using Hibernate factory, we can do that. Like your JDBC template, right? They give an Hibernate template classes here to make again Hibernate operation simple. Hibernate template, all such stuff given there. In Spring Data JPA, no code. See, if you are very much, you're very skilled, if you know how to customize this data JPA, go with data JPA. Okay, you can use data JPA if you know what and all you can able to do. If that customization and everything is difficult with you, go with Spring ORM. In Spring ORM, you need to write all the lines of code. In data JPA, the basic save, update, delete, select operations, it will cover. It will cover on its own. Lot of customizations if you have, go with ORM. Else you can use data JPA. In data JPA also you can do customizations. Okay. So I would recommend to go with data JPA if you know Hibernate, depth concepts. Okay. So first let me cover this JDBC template. Once after ORM you will get the clarity. Okay. Whether you need to use data JPA or ORM. Okay. So Spring JDBC template. So just create a project, add your libraries. Now I'm creating a package com.rview.ecom.bao or repository package. I'm creating a student DAO. So at the rate repository, so that this class object will be created automatically. Okay, and I need JDBC template here, private JDBC template, and I want to auto wire it. But from where it will auto wire, you need to create this object. Where I should create this object? In a configuration class under at the rate green method. So create one more package com.rvu.ecom.config package app configuration at the rate of configuration, and here you need two things. You need JDBC template. JDBC template needs data source. So you need to create two at the rate green methods. One is public data source. Create a data source. And the one is public JDBC template. Create a JDBC template. To create connection pool, already we have code here. Let me copy this. So I'm using Apache basic data source, putting 19 maximum connections, waiting time, then returning my data source object. So the data source is ready. And what I prepare next? JDBC template. JDBC template. To execute this method along with your object creation. It will create your controller service DAO objects when you stereotype with this annotations, right? Along with that objects, these methods also it will execute and it will create these objects and it will register that objects into IOC container. This is like a alternate for your at the bean tag. In bean tag, you can configure your class basic data source. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it will create one app config object. Without this object, it can't invoke this methods, right? So this object also required to IOC. In general, to call any methods, here if you want to go inside of this class, so obviously this object is needed. JDBC template, then JDBC template dot. Hmm. No, no, not this, not this. So when user are busy with the connections, it will keep wait next user for 2000 milliseconds. Yeah, 2 seconds. For next, let's say you open IRCTC application for booking Tatkal now. Okay. Already IRCTC database, whichever they are using, if they have 100 maximum connections only. So already 100 people are dealing with the database. They are booking. So if you are the 101 user, so for you connection is not available. What it will do for next 2 seconds, it can hold you. The database operation will make you wait without rejecting your request. Okay, it will keep your request in queue. Immediately, as soon as one user CRUD operation is done, right, immediately that connection will return to you for the next user. Okay, so that you will not see any issues with your database operations. Up to 2 seconds, it can hold you. Yeah. Yes. From controller side, your request is thread safe. Your request came via thread. Apart from that, your request thread, your controller is singleton, service is singleton, DAO also singleton. Okay, again, methods are prototype always. So, yeah, for example, somebody called a save method, save of his ticket. So, for first 100 users, save operation is executing now. It may take, fraction of seconds, 500 milliseconds or 400 milliseconds. So whosoever operation completes first, that connection again will go back to the connection port. Between whoever is waiting for them, it will return the same connection. Maximum, yeah, up to maximum 2 seconds it can hold you. If still if you are not getting connection, then it will throw error by saying connection not available. Otherwise, it will not say your database is not ready to give you connection. That exceptions you will never see. Connections not available, errors you will get. That you need to handle. Or you can keep it 2 seconds are not sufficient. 20 seconds if you want to put here 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or 1 minute also you can, up to whatever maximum waiting time. These methods are not prototype. These methods also executes only on its lifetime. Singleton methods. At the rate bean methods are singleton methods. So whatever it is returning, only one time it will execute. Though you intentionally call it also, you need not to worry. This code will not execute again and again. At the rate bean methods are singleton methods. Okay. In its lifetime, only one time it will execute because of you configured at the rate bean inside configuration class. Instead of configuration class, if you configure component here, or if you use controller or repository annotation here, then these methods will become like a normal method. So during execution of your code, one time it will create these objects. Again, when users try to call intentionally these methods, it will create again and again new objects. That is what we saw yesterday, right? So compulsory at the rate beans should configure inside configuration annotated class only. It should not outside the configuration class. It should be inside the configuration class. Okay. Now my required JDBC template is ready here. My JDBC template is ready here with IOC. So I can ask IOC to auto-wire here. It will auto-wire for you. Then you can have your CRUD operations here. You can have your CRUD operations here. Okay. Yesterday we had only simple save method, right? Yeah. Using data source we did save method. See the simple save method with the data source we did yesterday. Now using JDBC template, how we will write it next. So this is with the data source example, and this is with the JDBC example. We realized the problem also when I use simple JDBC, it is unable to open connection and close connections when a lot of users request, whereas data source was performing very well. Now you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of code, and each and every line is important. You can't even ignore close connection or close statement. Here also opening connection, then these 2 lines, then next 2 lines, everything is important. Now coming to this JDBC template, how it is going to convert your code here. Instead of this many lines, you can use JDBC template dot. You want to do save operation, right? We can use update method, and you can give the same SQL query here. That's it. You are done. Remove this code. Simple. Your JDBC becomes simple here. And will it ensure to open close all the connections properly? Yes. It will take care of everything. You need not to worry. So this much easy to do save operation. And I want to update a record. Update address. Update. Something name or email I want to update. So you can write same here. Update student set email is equal to email. Where ID is equal to, you need to put your ID. No, only for DML. Okay, this is DML. Update is sorry. Save method means insert. Insert is a DML. Update is a DML. Delete also DML. Delete a record. Delete student. where id equal to so and so. It will delete. Yeah. Hmm. Go ahead. Hmm. Hmm. It's up to you. Do you want to handle it? Do you want to handle it, or do you want to report it to the service layer or controller layer? What is your architecture? Do you want to handle there itself and put it in log, or do you want to have only one exception class for entire application? Hmm. No. So basically, why you want to handle here? If you say I will handle, why you want to handle here? Handling means there is an alternative code. Do you have any alternate code? If my student insertion is failed, are you planning for any alternate solution here in Flash block? Why you want to handle here? Uh, yeah. So, hmm, 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 hmm. Correct. That is what transactions will do, right? Whoever is calling these two methods, who will call DAO? Your service. Let's say you are doing save into this table as well as student fee, you are saving it into fee table. You have student fees DAO. There you are paying fee. So at a time student information and fees information storing into two tables. Student information saved successfully, while saving fee information something got failed. So student record, now it will become a orphan record. There is no fee for student. So during insertion of the student, we will insert it, and while inserting fee fails, what we need to do? We need to roll back previous transaction also, that we can deal from service layer using transactions. I'll make the transaction concept also simple. Okay, we will use programmatic way, XML approach, and annotation approaches, so that you will get full clarity on transactions also. Okay, yeah. So basic. Hmm. Transaction by itself means it will auto commit your, you know, current CRUD operation. This CRUD operation is auto commit, this CRUD operation is auto commit, this CRUD operation is auto commit. But when you are dealing with two multiple DAOs, one DAO doesn't aware about the next DAO. One DAO fails, how, you know, its neighbor DAO knows that this DAO got failed, I also need to fail. That transactions will deal. We will talk about it. Okay, I'll give you use cases and explain. So just focus on this JDBC template for time being, and you need not to handle any exceptions. Always rethrow exceptions to next layer. Don't handle any exceptions. If you suppress exceptions, the caller layer doesn't know about the problem which is happening. Okay, always rethrow your exceptions. Delete. Now select the methods I want to write. This is one more, layer on top of JDBC. So this is how we have, choices here on top of JDBC. JDBC only is your decision. Okay, your team decision is work on JDBC. Better go with the Spring JDBC. Okay, Spring JDBC. In Spring, how you do simple JDBC operations. In normal JDBC, you need to deal lot of connection objects, closing, creating statement, that stuff. They simplified that here in Spring JDBC. But if your team option is ORM, use ORM. use ORM like Hibernate. Use directly Hibernate using Spring ORM. So integration support they given here. Spring ORM is having all the integration classes. So using these integrations, you can deal with Hibernate directly, like your JDBC template and all. So one advanced layer given on top of it. That is what Spring Data JPA. It is advanced than your Spring ORM. Okay. So here, rather than JDBC, use Spring JDBC. Here, use Hibernate directly, or you can integrate Hibernate with ORM, or you can use Data JPA. Finally, it will use Hibernate only. Here, like how JDBC is using Spring JDBC using JDBC, right? Hmm. 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 You need not to do that. Hmm. Yeah, we did that in our config. This template is coming here with all the setup is done only, right? My JDBC template is created with the data source only. My template class is having data source. Whenever you call, uh, yes, yes, that JDBC, this JDBC template methods, what they will do, already data source we injected, right? So using the data source, this update method or query for methods will do what? They will fetch one connection. Similarly, like how you did here, data source dot get connection you did, right? Consider this is like your JDBC template update method. So what that JDBC update method internally is having data source dot get connection, create statement, execute update, close connection. All this code already they implemented and given to us. Just as a input, you need to give your SQL. That SQL they replace here. That's it. Simple engineering only. Okay. Yes, you need to create data source, and that data source you have to supply to your JDBC template. So here I am calling create data source. So this will call what? This method. So this method is having what? Data source. So this data source, it will set it here. Use Control K whenever you want to see references. Select Control K. Yeah. So now coming to query for methods, I want to select one record from database. Select star from student where this ID record. So I'll get one object only. Query for object method I should use. Query for object method. And the one more benefit is here with this JDBC template, it can return you like a it can return you like your ORM will return you directly object, right? This query for object method also can return your data in the form of object. Let's say you want to get it into the student object, you can get it into student object directly. How you can do that? Here one row mapper class you need to implement. In plain JDBC you will get result set object. Okay. Here what you can do, you can have one more class. You can have one more class, student, with all your properties, private int id, private string name, private string email. You have a lot of confusion. I'll explain about DTOs and all. Okay. This is entity only. Not entity again means what? Entity or DTO or value objects. All are same. Based on the place, their behavior will change. Yeah, you may call it DTO because directly I'm not mapping it to table, but in other way, if you see table data only, I'm getting it. So this is my DTO. Yeah, you may call it DTO. So into this DTO, I need to get that query result. So to get query result, you need to implement one row mapper. Result set to DTO. To get your data from result set to DTO, you need to create row mapper. One row mapper class you need to implement. Implement row mapper. What this row mapper will do, this row mapper will help you here. Map result set data to your map your result set data to this object. So what you can do here, you can iterate through result set. If rs dot next, you can create student b in here. Student dot set id. From result set you can get int of first column. Uh, yeah. Names. Yeah, finally, you can result. You can send your result back. So this is one kind of helper class for you. This is one kind of helper class you to help to map result set data to the student object. So what you need to do in your DAO class after your where is my DAO? Here. After your select operation, right? You need to pass your mapper object, new row mapper. You need to pass row mapper object, new row mapper. Where did I implement it? Oh, not here. Yeah. New result set to DTO row mapper. So now what it will do? It will return you directly student object. So you can return this object to whoever is calling your method. This way you can do select operations, select all operations for your for list. If you want to select all, maybe you can use query for list. Row mapper type not given here. List of map objects we will get. Oh, one record only. This is given for one record only. So I'm expecting one record only. Query for object. I'm expecting one object. In this case, I'm thinking query for list, how it will return. So my required element I given, will it able to map or not? Let us see. Usually it will give list of map of objects. So if your column name and these are matching, it might return, but I'm not sure until unless I execute it. Let us see. I'm expecting to get list of student objects here. Because this method confidently giving you to specify your class element. Documents. Okay. Otherwise it will give map type. Let's see by testing all these methods. Okay. The student SBMS method is there in your Orkin. Start from. So I have many records. I'll truncate this table. Yesterday, many records. Truncate student. Truncate table student. Okay. Now this table must have zero records. Okay, no data form. And this table column names, if I see ID name email, same names I have here. Cool. Now try to run your client class and see. First, first thing is first, right? First configure your component scan. It need to scan your class, right? Configuration object should create, connection port should create, JDBC template should create. Then it can create your DAO and it can auto-write JDBC template so that your DAO is available for your testing. So com.rbu.application name ecom. Now get your DAO object here, ap.getRead student DAO DAO.save. Give an ID, name, email. Yeah. I used com.rbu.ecom. Com.rbu.ecom is the parent package. Dot config for configurations. Dot do for DOS. So I given up to parent name com.rb.ecom. So it will scan child packages also. Within this ecom only do package is the config also there. It will scan them. So yeah, started and executed. Is it inserted? Inserted. One record got inserted here. Not just we will play with this record only. Okay. Now let's call update method. Only email I can update. Cool. We got an issue. SQL command not properly ended. The SQL command not properly update student set email where ID is equal to this is not required. Yeah. Extra bracket we added. Here also the unnecessary extra bracket. Okay. So there is from Gmail to approve.com. So record got updated. And let's do select operation also. DAO dot select. If I give ID 1, I'll be getting data in the form of student object. Let me put one toString method also here. Let's print the student object to see the data coming or not. So I got a student record 0 null null null. Right, so DAO dot select. Select star from this table where ID equal to this. And then row mapper. So let's run it in debug mode. Result set should get the data. Huh? No, it looks fine to me. There should be one record, right? Yeah. So still it should say, no? First next itself should say there is a record. One record is there at least. Yeah. Yes. So it should go inside it and it should have fetched the data. Let's run it in debug mode to understand. Okay. Cursor cursor here now. See, is there anything inside result set? Okay, until unless I fetch, it won't give any data. No? Invalid column index. Did I index starts with one only, na? Is it zero? Go, go. Yes. What is that? Column index. ID is one, name, email. So this ID is member only. Member data type only. Any guess? Column index. Huh, there only, but the problem it is from here. Okay. Here only we put the next row. How many rows we have? One row only, na? So that row data only it should get. If you have multiple rows, then multiple objects it will create. Sorry? Macro. I am not using it actually. Yeah, this is not required. Hmm, I'm just concerning about this index only. Result set will have your indexes, right? Column indexes. So that is only important. Yeah, it will iterate actually. Result set is like a collection. So when you think you have multiple rows, it will iterate through it. It should iterate there and yeah, but from this result set, I am expecting single object only. So this code I'm sure will execute one time only. Okay, for one time purpose only I implemented it. Yeah, here I am telling no, don't think that way. Result set is a like a list object or a map object. Yeah, column indexes. Yeah, result set is a no. Result set is a collection. Into this collection, it will populate all your rows. I requested for how many rows from the DAO? One single row only. Select star from table where ID is equal. So also ID. How many records it will give you? 31. I'm not understanding why it is doing it. Result set itself is not giving here. Row map or object only given. This must be true. When I run this class, directly the data will be given here. Your method, the select method will give result set here. From that result set, you need to put it into your required object and just return it back. That's it. Nothing much you need to do. I am not using it at all. This map row method used by your query for object method. Internally, it will pass your result set. First, this result set data it will pass there. No, no, that is mandatory argument. See, for single result case, maybe this is not useful. It is not populating, or else you can see what it is populating it also. This see for query for object method, I given a query. So this query intention is get one single record. Finally, as a result, I am expecting the student object, right? So this select method will give result set internally to this code, right? JDBC code. It will give result set. That same result set object it will pass to row mapper, and from row mapper it will get one return value student object. The same thing it is returning to us. Okay. So a simple engineering only they have done. Yeah. Line number. No, this is also will work. Yesterday we saw this, right? Delete from also working, delete also working. Where ID is equal to ID. Ah, okay, okay. This is for delete, but we are testing select only. Yeah, that is fine. Yeah. So, but no problem with this select method. Let me see again. Hmm. Yeah. No, basically, this method after see if you don't pass any row mapper, what it will do? In general, if it is using JDBC concept internally, every select method will get a result set, right? Okay. So result set it is having internally. Now what I need is my student object. So somebody should do select data from result set and keeping it into your object, right? Who is performing that job? This row mapper. So immediately this query will do what? This query for object method will give this result set object to this row mapper. From row mapper, it will expect student object as a return. So your query for object method will get student object end of the day. Then that object it will return to you. Because it is pre-structured, na? This query for object method, no. So they given specification that way. Yeah, based on number of results, maybe it will add, that's how they might have coded. No, 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 not at all. No. Just a minute, one more time. May I'm suspecting something. Let's see. So here index you are talking, right? Zero index it is given. Okay. The default and one result set also given. And I'm not sure this date result set is having data or not. You can see now in this debug, what will it will print? The same thing it will print. It will print you this object. I'm in debug mode only. Now it is giving. Uh, Now I think something set here. ID1. Next. Now name the error set. Now there is a rule Gmail. Did we change anything? Zero on that. So now you are getting result. I removed this if dot next. This one rs dot next we added first one. So this one I got removed, then it is working. So basically I need not to check. Directly you can fetch this data. Yeah, that we need to check. No, in select all, even I have not mentioned any row mapper also. Let me see. It will give map of objects, list of map objects it will give. For each row, one map it will create with column name and present data. But confidently, I thought of getting it into list, select all. Now try to iterate this list. For each student, it is unable to map directly. Incorrect column count, expected 1, actual 3. 3 columns are there. Oh, column count. Expected 1 column, but actual 3. Yes, 3 columns we have. Select all is fetching, select everything from this. Okay. So this method they might have given for single parameter. Let's say only IDs if you want to get list of IDs. Not for this case. So you may ignore it. You can get directly map objects. Okay, list of map objects. Then you do conversion there. Always it will give column names into the map argument and column result it will give into the second argument. So you know what to do here. To get it into your list, create a list here. Iterate through this first list. So for each case, it will give a map object to you. From this map, to get result and keep it into student. Into the student, you can put your map data. Map dot set id is equal to map dot get of. Key is your column name id. So it will set your ID here. So it is an object type, so you typecast it into integer. Student dot set name, map dot get of, column name is name. So you can cast this into string type. Set email get of email. Add this into finally std list and return your list back. Okay. Now I'll insert few more records. Second record. Now two records are there. Select two records. Hmm, it is not going into data. Query for list. Select the star from this table. I have three records here. Three records. Record it will give rating to it, getting and setting it. Let's run it in debug and see. So it is going here. Next. Query looks good. So I got list. Yeah, records are there. Three records, right? Yeah, three records are given. So I'm iterating that list here. It is going inside list. Student object created. So first map.getId it is calling, and you got exception. Big decimal cannot be casted into integer. Okay. So basically big decimal type it is returning. I typecasted it into integer. That is the problem. So the big decimal if I set here, it will give big decimal dot, you can put int value, big decimal dot int value. It will give integer type. Okay. My required type is integer, database giving it as a big decimal by default. If you leave it, directly big decimal, but that is not direct big decimal. It is giving, first we are expecting in the form of object. object to big decimal to integer conversion. Okay. Now if you check, first record ID is set. Name email obviously it will set. Going into second loop, again going into third loop. Yeah, after three loops, it came out. And in this std list, we have three objects. Finally, return this second object, third object. Success. So two records gets inserted. Finally, we can see all the three records. Okay. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct. For each table, you can have a different row mapper, or for each result set, whichever results you are getting. Let's say three columns data if you want to put it into student, and three columns selected data if you want to put it into address. Yes, you need to have one more row mapper. This is similar like your Hibernate mapping file. Hibernate mapping file, like how you map your table to bean, right? Same thing doing here, just to get result data from result set to your bean. I mean, it don't have any special intelligence here. So whatever data it is getting, based on your input only, it is mapping into your object. For mapping, no. You need to create for each type you need to create one row map. Okay? Yeah. No. No. Actually, here I am getting student data. So for student data, I have one student row map. Let's say you have one more select operation on employee data, employee table. So you need one more row mapper, right? Employee row mapper. Like that, you need to create multiple row mappers. Or else, yeah, maybe single row mapper also you can handle all that logic you need to write here. Maybe by putting one as a generic. No, no, not generic. I mean, uh, let's say if you have a student table, course table, address table, and if they are all chains of some a parent bean, you can put that parent bean here in the form of parent bean. If you want to return, put the parent bean here. Based on your result, decide which into which bean you want to put the data and return it. That is very complicated, right? Instead of that, keep a separate row mapper. Okay. Yeah, you can have any number of, right. So one is dealing with this table. Let's say if you want to deal with another table in another select, you can, and you can have a different row mapper with a different entity. Or your application can have 10 tables. In each DO, you might have different select operation. One doing on student, one may doing on course. So if you are selecting for select start from course, you need to get course object here, and you need to give course row mapper here. Okay. Yes, this query for object method knows that whatever results it got right during this line execution, that result set it will pass into this method. Result set DTO row mapper dot map row method it will call and give the result set object. You can have this is the only method that you need to override. Apart from this, if you have any custom methods also for no use, right? In case if you want to do this job using a separate child method, you can do it. But end of the day, it is calling macro method. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. No, sorry, sorry. Can you repeat again? Can you repeat again? Uh, for what reason? See, generally, as per MVC architecture, DAO will never call another DAO. Okay, that is your business, right? You need to call one database operation followed by another database operation. That is your requirement. If that is the case, don't call from one DAO to another DAO. Do it from your service layer. Okay, from your service layer, call two DAO methods. Here, that is what your business logic. So the complete business logic is, yeah, you can deal with any number of DAOs for one single operation. I want to call DAO student, DAO post, DAO fees, DAO address. You can deal with any number of DAOs. You call one by one here in your method, but don't call from one DAO to another DAO. Okay. So that you can control your transactions here from service. Yeah, yeah, 8 a.m. to 1.5 hour we can take 1 hour, 1.5 hour, depends on the session. Okay. So because going forward all are lengthy topics. In 30, 40 minutes we can't close them. So yeah. So you all fine, right? If I go till 9:30, 8 to 9:30. Yeah. So tomorrow morning we will see JDBC template example. Then I'll start uh, ORM. Okay. Spring ORM. Then we see for each day one topic we can finish. One day ORM, one day OPM, and 2 days or 3 days for the MVC. Then Spring Boot microservices we can have. Okay. Yeah. So you have good examples in our blog for JDBC and the named parameter JDBC template. So you download and have a look into them. Okay. So here you have somewhere connection tool. Yeah. You see these two examples. Okay. Tomorrow I'll show you this example. You just download and load it. You will see, better examples here. Yeah. Yes. Till yesterday you have, right? No, video is there. Yesterday's videos are already there. Open the blog. Okay. You can see.